Coming up in this video, the surprising and inspirational story of one of Vanlife's best loved gurus.
Motorhome.
Well, today I'd like to just delve a little bit deeper into you.
Put the gloves on. Creating a new windpipe for someone. They would activate the moving floor and it would rotate. I was actually being trained to be a naval officer. And I stood on my chair and announced this and just said, "See ya! You're a damn fool, Sims." It was you two, yes. With ZZ Top in Madrid. Down my back in a ponytail all the time. And we're making everyone redundant. It was a cross between Michael McIntyre and Mr. Tumble. 15 hours later I was in surgery and the surgeon said, "You're probably 3 days away from a fatal heart attack."
Oh my goodness.
I'm passionate about motorhome. Going camping, going in a motorhome camper van is so good for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It's so good for your mental health.
Hello, I'm Zoe, and this is
Malish.
And today we've been very kindly joined by
I'm Motorhome Matt.
Motorhome Matt.
Lovely to see you both.
Thank you so
you
much.
all.
Yes, the three of us.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to let us grill you.
Grill me.
Yes.
You said have a friendly chat on the phone.
We'll do a friendly chat. So we're down at that leisure shop,
Yes.
which is in Somerset. Which junction number of the M5?
Junction 21 of the M5. So just head off toward Bristol and we're a mile or so on the left-hand side.
And what do you do here?
So here we have that leisure shop where obviously is our real store, our bricks and mortar shop as I call it. Obviously it's quite prolific online. And here is the warehouse as well where we pick and pack all of the online orders. So the guys were busy early this morning getting the orders out for today. The studio is here, which you're in now.
We get to see behind the scenes.
You have. And Motorhome Holiday Company is based here as well, which is the business we sell motorhomes at and the hire side as well.
Do you have your own fleet of vehicles to hire?
We do. We're recording this in November, so our fleet's quite small at this time of year. We have run 30 odd in the past, which is too many. It's too busy. But we ran 22, I think, this year. And so now a number of them are for sale, and we sell a lot of motorhomes that have not been on hire as well.
Well, today I'd like to just delve a little bit deeper into you. Please.
Is this going to hurt?
This is going to hurt. Did you bring the anaesthetic?
Yes, I had to scream.
Put the gloves on.
Cut that out. So, if we could, let's go back to pre-Motorhome Matt. Can we ask, what did your parents do?
My mum was a bank clerk. She worked in NatWest Bank, Bristol West Building Society, and brought myself and my brother up. And my dad was a research biochemist. And is an expert on something known as collagen. And late in his career, really as he was winding down, he was instrumental in creating a new windpipe for someone that was implanted in a lady. The operation was done in Spain, and the surgeon said it was like fitting her own windpipe. And of course, it was grown in a petri dish, but it was her windpipe. It was created from her own cells.
Wow.
And it was revolutionary science. And he was kind of invited all over the world to do these talks and just said, "Matt, I just want to wind down." So yeah, he left on a high and was recently, he turned 80. And on his 80th birthday, he cycled 80 miles, and 2 days later cycled 65. He's mad and super fit.
Yeah.
And mum passed away years ago from cancer, and dad then came to work for me for a bit, and now is a very keen cyclist.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wow, what
super
an
fit.
inspiration.
He is an
Yeah.
inspiration, yeah, and he's very, very, very fit. Amazing man.
Yeah.
But nothing to do with motorhomes or leisure at all.
Okay. And so, are you from around here originally? Were you born in the
Yes,
Somerset?
born in South Bristol, my lover, and I grew up in Bristol.
Can we just explain, please, for our viewers in the north of England, what that means? Because I used to be very concerned by that statement.
Really? Well, it's either my lover or my babber.
Cocker.
My cocker, that's another one. Wait, cheers, Troy.
This is very strange.
So they're strong Bristolian. The dog's digging a hole in the studio floor.
Stop.
So Bristol's renowned, isn't it? It's a very famous city, usually for the wrong reasons. We know how to put on a good riot in Bristol. Or throw a statue in the drink.
Yeah.
It's an amazing city. I love Bristol. I love coming home. I spent a lot of time working in London, and then I had a short time travelling internationally. Used to love coming back to Bristol. I had a mobile disco, and we would tour around. We toured with the Wurzels and Jethro.
Oh, wow.
Bless him. We had a residency at the BT Tower, right at the top of the BT Tower in central London. Yeah, and for the last hour, they would activate the moving floor and it would rotate. So we'd have to play Dizzy by Vic Reeves and You Spin Me Right Round. And I would do that every weekend, and I did love coming back into Bristol.
Kiva,
Excuse
stop.
the noises off. It's the dog. She insists on digging every surface.
Right, Reg does the same as well.
I'm just trying to show people what the pickle is actually doing, because they're going to be wondering what on earth.
She's given
she's
up.
finally settled down.
Starstruck.
Sorry, Matt. I will
That's all right.
stop interrupting you.
So when you were at school then, what was your favourite subject?
Oh, my favourite subject. I did enjoy music at school very much. I was the first year to do GCSEs. That's how old I am. But yeah, I did enjoy music, and then I went on to do the more techie side when I left school. I actually went to college to do a BTEC in communications, and I was kind of sold up the river really, because I didn't realise what we were getting into. I was actually being trained to be a naval officer, a radio officer, which I had no interest in being at all. And one of the most rebellious acts of my life was to stand up at the back of the class and say, I'm leaving. And I stood on my chair and announced this, and then climbed on my desk, and then promptly walked out of the classroom via everybody's desk from the back of the room, and just said, see ya! And I told my lecturer I was leaving, and I wanted to go and do an audiovisual studies course, and he said, you'll never get a place, it's oversubscribed, you're a fool, you're a damn fool, Sims. And so I left, and quite dramatically, to this rapturous applause from my classmates, and didn't go back. And then I joined a company full-time as a sound engineer and toured for the rest of that academic year. And I did get a place on the audiovisual studies course, and throughout that was still sound engineering in my spare time. And then I did that full-time when I left. It was a massive opportunity that I still think, gosh, you were so lucky, Sims, to be given the opportunities I was given at the time. So,
And then you went on to work with a band, I think it was called the Virgin Prunes.
Virgin Prunes, yeah, they're massive, aren't they?
I never worked with the Virgin Prunes. Who are they?
You never heard of the Virgin
I
Prunes?
haven't.
Oh, I think they changed their
They
name
did,
a bit
yeah.
later to U2.
That was you too. Sorry, we know them as the Virgin Prunes.
Okay, now you're going right back in time.
Yeah.
It was U2, yes. So I did do a short stint with them as monitor engineer. So that's their sound.
Yeah.
So the sound they hear on stage. And I ended up finding my niche. You have the front of house guy who's in the audience doing the main sound for everybody, and I was at the side of the stage doing the band sound, and I love that. And as a want-to-be musician, I loved watching the band and engaging with them.
You get that rapport with
Yeah,
them,
definitely.
You went round Ireland, I think you said with them?
I toured Ireland, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, good stories though. Eh?
Yeah, I remember we did a gig with ZZ Top, one gig in Madrid, and the sound system took over the entire ferry, and my job there was to wire up all the speakers. This huge wall of speakers either side of the stage, massive.
What were the brothers like? Sorry, just out of interest. Were they really cool?
I've never seen two musicians drink so much lager during a live show. Literally a slab halfway. There would be an interval,
Yes.
and a new slab of lager would be placed each side of the stage.
And they were still going.
And still, they're phenomenal men.
Did they bring the Eliminator with them?
No, they didn't. What a great song, though. We used to use that song as a sound check song. Brilliant, takes me back. So I did a stint with Wet, Wet, Wet. I never understood a word Marty Pello said to me. He would just shout at me in such a strong Scottish.
I thought he was Welsh.
Really? And I would just turn him up and he'd go, all right, then, think of it.
Yeah, that's it. So you were just looking for
make it louder.
up or down.
Yeah, we did bits with Cliff Richard, and he's a phenomenal artist. He's a mustard character, for sure. He knows exactly how everything works. He's phenomenal.
But the question is, how do you go from that to motorhome?
Well, there must be something in between.
Yeah.
What happened
Well-
after the U2 era and all the...
Yeah, I was freelance doing all of that. So I took a stint in a job as conference manager. So stepped into the corporate world and realised that if I had my hair cut, because it was down my back in a ponytail all the time, had my hair cut and wore a suit, I could earn 4 times as much money. stepped into this corporate world of conferencing and events, and I had a phone call on a Sunday night from the MD. We're coming down 9 o'clock tomorrow, and we're making everyone redundant. I said, oh wow. So we met in a McDonald's at 9 o'clock. It was a brand new McDonald's, and the finance director was there, and I said, when are you planning to make everybody redundant? He said, today. And the company had grown and scaled so fast that they just couldn't fund everything. And the FD said, we don't want the conference side of the business. And he said, would you like to buy it? And I said, well, blimey, I haven't got the means to do that. The £2 coin had just come out. Yeah. And I had one in my pocket, and I cheekily slid it across the table and said, will that do? And he put his hand out and shook it and said, congratulations, you've just bought the business.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so I bought a £500,000 business back in 1997, this was, for £2. I then cooked up a plan, re-employed some of the team, and we went forward with our own business. I did that for 12 years, 13 years, and then sold it in 2008, or sold my share in it. By then, we were really heavily into motorhoming. I'd had quite a few, and we were going away with friends, and motorhomes were still relatively new. With them, we said, let's set up a motorhome dealership. So we all left our jobs, and we set up a motorhome business in Bristol. A complete curveball from corporate events.
Totally.
With two friends, we set this business up, and we became a bit like the cast of Top Gear. And we ruffled some feathers, and we were a bit of a breath of fresh air, or perceived to be by the industry. And we came with a lot of corporate experience, a lot of drive, and we did really, really well. And I wanted to grow and scale that business, and they had decided they didn't want to. So I said, well, that's okay, I'm off then. So I left and sold again my share in that and started Motorhome Holiday Company with my dad. So mum had passed away and dad was helping me out, and we managed to grow and scale that. And yeah,
so
here we are.
You started with a few vans, you bought some...
Yeah, we had 5, but they were all privately owned. So our model here is quite different. So we don't own all the motorhomes. Most of them are privately owned, and those owners have an income from the hire business we generate. We started with 5, and very quickly it became 8 or 9, and I ran out of space, and then we ended up here in 2018. We bought the storage business, and we store motorhomes, caravans, campervans, boats, all sorts of things. It's a Casoa Gold site.
Can you explain the gold bit, because some people might
Yeah, so the Casoa stands for the Caravan Storage Site Owners Association. It's very exciting.
No, I did not know that.
And the sites are recognised by insurance companies, and there's different levels of award, and we're gold. The storage business kind of folds into the hire business, the sales business, now the shop. And they are kind of all fold into each other, and that's always been my agenda, really, is to have businesses that kind of work with each other. And we launched the podcast, that was 3 years ago this week as we record this, and I was doing these kind of unboxing videos, and I was this weird character that was a cross between Michael McIntyre and Mr. Tumble, and kind of doing these unboxing videos and demonstrating product that we sold, and nobody watched it, nobody cared. And we were watching I think they're in New Zealand, a company in New Zealand called Snowy's, who are like a B&Q scale leisure shop for a lot of hiking and camping. And they were aspirational to us, and they launched a podcast. And Maddie, the now podcast producer, head of our marketing, she said, you're going to want to do a podcast next, aren't you? I said, Maddie, I would love to, because I think podcasting is the future of media, but we haven't got the time, the knowledge, or the know-how. The next day, Keith Gooden rang me. Now, I know Keith from Radio Bristol, so I used to go in and read the papers from time to time on the breakfast show, or talk about local business. He rang me the next day and said, Matt, I watched one of your YouTube videos on how the towing rules have changed. It was really interesting. Have you considered a podcast? I'm retiring from the BBC, launching a podcast production business. I think you could have a podcast. So I said, that's funny, Keith. We were talking about this yesterday.
That's when you start thinking, is someone writing a script?
Well, there's just the stars aligning, isn't it? And so Keith came in with his mic. We recorded some content which we've never used because I'm sure it was rubbish. And off we went, and it was audio only. Somebody we were working with here said, you need to be on YouTube with this. And so we started on YouTube kind of 8 months in, and now YouTube is probably bigger than the audio side, because I think more people consume video than they do audio. But podcasting is still, it's the only podcast in the industry, in the motorhome industry. And I joke it would be great to have a competitor like Caravan Colin. I am fortunate to have an amazing team. And yeah, they're a phenomenal bunch of people. They're very talented. I've always recruited personality over skill because I think you can teach skill. And yeah, it's an amazing bunch.
As somebody who's totally sight impaired, I use assistive technology. And one of the things I'm really keen on is accessibility. And the number of websites that are inaccessible for people with screen readers is incredible. Big companies have terrible websites. Yours is great.
Oh, that's
Big thumbs up for your accessibility.
Oh, thank you.
Whoever's done all of your programming and designed your website has really thought about it. And if they haven't, well, then they're a genius anyway.
It is Maddie, and she is a genius, and I will make sure she watches this. It's so important, and you know, I love what you're doing, and it's really important for those, because many people that have your challenges would not have the confidence to do this.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't. And very few people have the confidence to do this, actually, when, you know, whether able-bodied or not. It's very much an agenda to promote a kind of an all-encompassing kind of industry, and it's so important because you know, going camping, going in a motorhome camper van is so good for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are.
Yeah.
It's so good for your mental health.
Yeah.
So you must have your own motorhome then?
We do. We've had 22, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a bit of a problem. And we have had all sorts. We've had American RVs.
Big giant 30-foot, 40-foot long jobbies.
Yes. Coach built, A-class, overcab bed, low profile. And we now have an Adria twin. And I'm often asked, why have you gone from such a huge motorhome down to a 6-metre panel van?
Is it 6 metres?
That's all it is,
Gosh.
yeah. And it's because we do short trips away because of work. I think if we were going for longer, we would probably have a bigger motorhome. They're a great van, and we love it. So I think we did 1,700 miles in May, and we'll probably do a similar mileage, but we'll go south this time.
So you walk the talk. You don't
actually
just
do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about motorhoming. I'm passionate about people who are getting into it for the first time, or thinking of getting into it, or have just bought one. They're my drive. Those people.
But do you think we're mad for moving into one full time?
Yes.
So do we.
Yeah. I'm not sure I could do that in Bristol. I'll see that line again.
I so want to put you on the spot. Well, Alicia's not there. Oh, you're back? But you don't have to answer this. What's the worst model you've ever had?
The worst model. The worst model I ever bought was probably a rear lounge model.
Okay.
Because it offered us, at the time we thought, this is great, we got loads of space. In reality, it was the world's most uncomfortable rear bed in a motorhome with no storage. And it lasted 6 months, and I managed to sell it and buy something else.
Okay.
So that was probably the worst model. We have had motorhomes that have suffered terrible issues of damp, and I see them here all the time. But yeah, let's not go there.
No. Let's do the scenario of money no object. What would you go out and buy?
A Morello.
Okay, I keep hearing about this. Why?
They're a phenomenal end product. They're massive. I mean, they're ridiculous. I mean, you can spend probably over €1 million now for sure. They are so well built. I love the fact that they take the original donor lorry and take all the dashboard out.
Okay.
And they have a company that rebuilds the dashboard so it's really shallow, and it moves the steering wheel up, and they move the seats forward so you maximise the living space behind you and you're up against the windscreen.
Right.
Well, not literally, but you know, they utilise all the space, which in a normal A-class is just lost to a massive dashboard, which if you've got 3 cats, is ideal, like John and Tash from Life Beyond Bricks have got. Perfect for them. Otherwise, an A-class is a bit of a waste of space. The benefit is the big bed that comes down and doesn't ruin the lounge. Yeah, that's the reason to have an A-class. But yeah, Morello is such an amazing brand. The passion behind it is second to none.
We'll get one of them then.
I think
Yeah, next week.
Yeah. Let's say you're going to the NC 500,
Yes,
which you did recently,
again, yeah.
and let's say you just get to the border of Scotland, you're just crossing over at Carlisle, and it suddenly pops into your head, damn, I forgot it. Got to turn around. What would that one item be? You could not go away without.
My MacBook, sadly.
Right?
Probably. I probably would still carry on. They wouldn't.
Workaholic.
Yeah, maybe Mrs. Motorhome Matt.
You'd be in so much trouble.
Second on the list.
She's still in the lounge. Where is he?
If somebody came to you as a new motorhomer and said, what is the most essential piece of kit in that leisure shop that I have to go away, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably decent toilet chemical.
Okay.
That's an essential, particularly if you're going NC 500 because you're not going to be always on a campsite or have access to toilets. So really important. I'm passionate about Solbio, which is completely organic.
Yeah.
It's vegan, and
We can eat it?
you can drink it, not once you've used it, but it turns your poo and wee into compost.
Okay.
So you could pour it on the rose bed. I wouldn't recommend doing that in public.
No.
We should get some.
It's amazing. Honestly, it's phenomenal stuff. Why is it these videos always end up talking about toilets?
It's such an important part.
It is
back
an
to the
important
toilet,
topic. Yeah, well, it's a big part of our lives now in a motor.
Yeah, that's it. I want to touch on something else, if we may, which I know is you're keen about, which is health.
Health.
Because recently you had a little bit of a scare.
Yeah, I did. That's one way of putting it. So, yeah, I had a cough, and to get a doctor's appointment today is nearly impossible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I had had some chest pain, I'd gone through ECGs, chest x-rays, they were all good, they were all fine. But I had this persistent cough that had become known as the 90-day cough or the 100-day cough. Lots of people had it. Yeah, I managed to get a doctor's appointment, and the GP wasn't happy. He said, I'm not happy with what you're telling me, Matt, about this chest ache in the shoulder, this cough. So you're off to A&E, and I went that afternoon. 15 hours later, I was in surgery having an echocardiogram and an angiogram where they go in your wrist, up your arm and into your heart. 4 arteries unblocked and 2 stents fitted. And the surgeon said, you're probably 3 days away from a fatal heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
And so, wow, so that was quite grounding. And I'm now on tons of tablets, and I was diagnosed with unstable angina, hypertension. And what's been interesting is I have a cholesterol which is very elevated, for which there is no treatment. It's called lipoprotein A. And it's probably 18 months or 2 years before there is a treatment. All my other cholesterols are in the floor through medication, and not really change of diet, but a little bit. And this one sticky cholesterol blocks arteries. So it's a kind of an indicator to the medical team. I've been so well cared for by the NHS. It's been amazing.
They are amazing, aren't they? They really
Bristol
are.
Heart Institute is phenomenal. So I've been on a bit of a journey with it. But what it's done is make me very acutely aware of how, as a bloke, I'm just not very good at talking about my health. So I've been trying to encourage other men and women to have the conversation around health. I think we're not very good to necessarily talk with each other about our health. And certainly my own experience is I was hiding or just not acknowledging what I was experiencing, and I'll be fine. I don't want to go to the doctor, I haven't got time. But the moment I went to this GP, and I'm grateful to him for saying, Matt, there's something else wrong here, and he was absolutely right. So yeah, I'm passionate about getting men, particularly, to open up about it and have a conversation. It's okay.
Go for an MOT.
Yeah, do it, and yeah, take that opportunity. Get your bloods tested and get checked. You just, there's no harm in doing it. And actually, it was a doctor said to me, he said, we want you to come and see us because we want to fix you, and the sooner you come, the better. So I'm still on a journey with it. My heart is still, there's one section which is still a bit blocked, which they're cautious about stenting again. A heart bypass that chamber is a possibility, but I'm a long way from that. So I continue with the tablets, a regular injection, and regular visits to cardiology. And I'm trying to kind of de-stress my life a bit.
Good.
So the motorhome is key to that, without a doubt. So next year we will be using it more.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to look after yourself because we want plenty more.
Oh, bless you.
More podcasts.
Well, we've committed to doing them again every week next year. We've had that conversation as a team, and we're all up for it. And we've got loads of content planned for next year. And I'm really excited to see where the journey takes us, because I had no intention of building this thing as it's become now. So we're excited to see what it brings.
The Motorhome Matt juggernaut.
The juggernaut. Well, yeah, maybe. I'm a big fan of the phrase "keep looking up," because there is opportunity everywhere. And it's too easy, particularly in this day and age, just to walk around like this, looking down at your phone. And I mean it metaphorically, of course, but actually keep looking up, and you just never know who you will bump into, what opportunity will knock, and just embrace it, the journey. The last thing my mum said to me, and then I'll let you go. She was lying in bed. I mentioned she died of cancer some years ago. And on the Friday evening, I said to her, "Mum, I won't be able to see you tomorrow. I was going to see a friend of mine quite some way away." And as I left the room, she was at home in bed. She said, "Enjoy the journey." And that was the last thing she said to me. And that's been my mantra. And in the shop, as you walk out, it says above the door, "Enjoy the journey in loving memory of Jill Sims."
Oh, wow.
And I think I've taken it as a kind of a message for our everyday. And life isn't a destination, it is a journey. Every day is a journey. No matter what challenges or obstacles are given to us, we're on that journey, and we should enjoy it.
She's one of our challenges.
On that note, Mr. Motorhome Matt, thank you so very much.
Thank you both.
What a fabulous time.
Brilliant to
Thank
meet
you.
It's been lovely to see you again. Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope you get all your issues on the motorhome resolved.
We might get a clutch eventually.
Yeah, let's
we'll
hope so.
be in motion again and off on our travels.
Yeah, no, it's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
both.
really.
We'll shake your hands. Thank you.
You're a star.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you both. Take
We
care.
won't darken your door again.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Malish and I love travelling in our van.
You have to go left a bit.
Hi, I'm Zoe and I'm severely sight impaired, but I still love going out in Melvin the motorhome.
What are you doing?
Hi, I'm Kiva and I'm a pickle.
Hello, I'm Melvin the Motorhome.
And together we want to travel the world.
And we hope you join us on our adventures.